What if I told you the way you experience God is directly correlated to the way you experienced love and safety as a child? So if God feels distant, critical, or even absent, it might not be rooted in faith. It might be rooted in your childhood. And I didn't realize that until I started doing my inner child healing. But here's the kick. I didn't try to create a relationship with God at that point in my life. I was actually agnostic or atheist. I was just a girl who was trying to feel safe within herself. I wanted to feel sure within myself. I wanted to not feel helpless at all times. I wanted to feel fully free to express my voice, my truth, my true self. Because up until that point in my life, I couldn't even move. I couldn't do anything that I wanted. Like my desires were blocked. Not all of them, but some of them, because I kept being stuck in this state of helplessness. I even felt so isolated and like I don't belong in this world. It was heavy for me. If you are a seeker, a cycle breaker, or a high achieving woman, this video is for you. It's gonna give you insight into knowing how to feel closer to God. And if you don't desire to get closer to God, this is gonna be a roadmap to feel free again, to feel free from your childhood wounds of feeling criticized, shamed, like you don't belong. Because I know I grew up feeling controlled, shamed, criticized. So I learned to hold myself back by staying small, hidden. And this was my safety. This is the interesting thing. Most people won't tell you that developmental and attachment trauma, like I used to have, are just gonna show up in your relationships when in reality it shapes your whole internal world and your perception of the world around you. So it's quite big. It shapes how you perceive your whole world. It shapes how you perceive everything in your life. It's like having on colored glasses, even though those glasses might be filled with dark colors, not pink colored glasses. Imagine like dark gray glasses and you see everything through that lens. This is how it is to be in this space of developmental and attachment trauma. But that's not the point of this video. Today we're gonna speak about how inner child healing brought me back to God, how after years of being agnostic and even atheist at some point, I started having a relationship with God. Let's get into the video. If you're new here, hi, my name is Chrisana. I'm a psychological life coach. Here we speak all things about inner work, inner development, and inner healing. If you've been here before, welcome back. And yeah, let's get into the video. So before I share more on how inner child healing brought me back to God, I would like to start with a bit more info about my background so you can understand where I am coming from. I think it's really important when we connect with people online to know where they're coming from so we can have a more informed image, even though that might not be possible with only one video. So I would urge you to check out my other videos, but let's get into my background. So I grew up as a Christian Orthodox. I came from two parents who one of them was a bit more agnostic and my mother was more of a Catholic, but she didn't mind practicing Orthodox traditions too. And growing up, because I experienced God from the lens of, for example, if you don't dress the right way, if you don't go to the church during Easter, if you don't do this, you won't go to heaven. And that perpetuated for me as a child this notion of not being enough for God, that created an image of God is punishing, God is controlling, God is someone who wants you to do things in a specific way to have power and control over you. So I experienced God as a punishing authority. So basically I experienced a lot of religious shame. And then the year passed by, I became a teen, I became agnostic, even an atheist at some point. Then COVID hit. And that was a point when the platform TikTok blew up. And I started witnessing young people, young women mostly, being expressive and open with their spirituality and owning that. Not in a fake way, not in a pushy or judgy or a criticizing way, but owning their truth, just sharing their truth. I also got inspired to get my first ever spiritual book, which was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. You might know that already, but if you don't, highly recommend reading that. I promise this is all relevant to where I'm getting to. I was blown away by this book and the author because even though at that point I was actually studying my undergrads in psychology, I was actually finishing it. He explained in such a simplified way what is anxiety. He basically said if you're not being in the present, you're either thinking about the past or the future. That is it. So simple. And for me, it blew my mind because during our practice and an internship and during psychology school, we were learning what is anxiety. And this is not to blame, like I love psychology. This is how science and research works. They were approaching anxiety from a multidimensional aspect. So we were learning a lot of complex theories and a lot of clinical things. Around the next few years, I started doing more inner work, as I shared in my last video. If you want to know more about inner work and how to feel alive again after years of feeling numb inside, feel free to watch that video. I will link it down below. So around 2023, I was deep into inner work. I started doing EMDR therapy. I started doing inner child healing because I felt so helpless in my life. Like I wanted to do a lot of things, even though at this point in my life I achieved a lot of things that I wanted. I felt empty inside of myself. I remember studying my master's degree in London, like moved out of my home country, all things that I always wanted to do. I felt numb inside. I felt dead inside myself. So I was actively pursuing things and putting that into action every single day. Spiritual things, psychology things, inner work things, life coaching things, everything and anything. I was trying to get back to myself, to unpeel all of those conditioning layers we all carry. Here is the thing about inner child healing. So the way I approached it is sometimes I would connect to my wounded inner child and I would go there with the help of my psychotherapist or not, because if they are really heavy wounds, we need help, we need support. Like this is something that I will die on the hill. You cannot heal developmental or attachment trauma if you're not witnessed by somebody who knows what they are doing. And I would do a lot of inner work by myself, clearing like other type of wounds, seeing what emerges and doing a lot of journaling. I was connecting to the carefree inner child and I was doing actively practices healing my inner child through that work. And here's the tip number one. If you're doing inner child healing work, that's going to help you a lot. Connect and actively practice what your inner child practiced. For me, for example, I loved nature as a child. I loved painting, frolicking in nature, being in the outside element, whatever that was. Like I loved swimming, I loved frolicking in nature, being around trees, being around mountains, all of that. So I started being more outside and feeling like my inner child. That's the key here, feeling like your inner child, feeling free, like not just doing them for the sake of doing them, or not feeling free or feeling disturbed or angry or ashamed or anything like that. Nothing is wrong with feeling all of those things, but we want you to get in a place where you can feel again free and inspired, like you can carry that innocence from your inner child. When you do those practices while you feel this way, something magical happens. The whole space inside of yourself that was filled with sadness, isolation, resentment even, just softens. at the same time, there is space inside yourself created for freedom and for feeling good inside yourself again. So I want you this week, after watching this video, to do this one thing. Sit down with yourself or in meditation, ask your inner child what is one activity that they missed doing, and do that with them. Imagine being with them and doing that during your practice. Whatever that is, just do it. Don't even think about it. Don't allow yourself to get in that trap of overthinking, or how I'm gonna get this pass, this is too far away, or I don't have any paints, I need to go and buy them. Don't allow yourself to get in that trap. Just go and do what your inner child is craving. This also allows your heart space to open up for compassion to flood into your system. So if you struggle with inner criticism, that's gonna help you too. So after those 3 years, I started becoming even more connected to my inner child, and it was so easy for me. Like, I could listen to her so easily. I would know her voice and what she needed, and I would tend to that. This is another really important thing. You don't just heal your inner child by healing your wounds or tending to her favorite activities. You heal her by reparenting her. And this is exactly where the God element comes in. And this is another tip you can try for yourself. Feel free to try it and let me know in the comments what happens. So I started reparenting my inner child through meditation, through those kind of healing practices. If you know IFS, this is my favorite ever practice. I've been doing IFS the past 4 years, I think, and it changed my life. It brought me back to feeling whole within myself, because I felt so isolated within myself, not just with the world, but I felt like I was, let's say I'm a puzzle. I was scattered. My pieces were scattered, not together, not working in harmony. They were also in war with each other. So IFS, inner child healing, all of those practices, they brought me back to feeling like a whole harmonious puzzle. That changes how you perceive not only yourself. You don't just have more trust and courage to go and do things in life, but also it creates a safety within the world around you. I started seeing the world as a safe space to be, as a safe space to risk and do things and be more of myself. And being okay with being criticized, because this is not about not ever being criticized or shamed again. We cannot control other people. This is about bettering a relationship to yourself, and through that, your whole reality can shapeshift. This is why inside Metamorphosis, I don't focus in a specific area of life. Yeah, it's about women who are going through a big life transition, and we focus on your relationship to yourself. Even if that life transition has to do with your career, your relationships, yes, bring that on. I love that. And we focus on you, because the more you pour into your cup, the more you can pour to all areas of your life. And this is how shifting your reality works. You change by changing something inside of yourself, not outside yourself. We are not trying to control things outside ourselves, because we have control and power over our own selves. And that changes your whole life. So through inner child healing, I started becoming more connected to nature, to universe, to source. I became more receptive to that. Of course, I planted those seeds a few years ago. Like I said to you in the beginning, like I started being exposed to more women being open about their spirituality through TikTok. That's why I'm so grateful for TikTok and social media in general. Like, it exposes you to things you thought you could never see, and it opens you up. It expands your capacity. So I'm so grateful for all of those women who are true to themselves, and they show that through their presence. Like, I love you if you're doing that. Thank you so much. I'm trying to say one thing and I keep like my mind is going all over the places right now because this is such an important topic for me. Inner child healing, like I said in my previous video, inner work saved my life. I mean it. Like inner work genuinely saved my life. I don't know where I would be right now if it wasn't for inner work. So through that, through seeing and accepting, in the beginning it was nature for me, then it became universe, then it became source, and then even the word God started having a more neutral meaning for me, because this is the thing with religious shame. So my perception of God was related to control, power, dominance, in general, a punitive and authoritarian figure. So the word God in my mind was coupled with obedience, controlling, strict, having high demands of you and no compassion at all. And yeah, this punitive aspect to it. So through inner child healing, my perception of the word God started having a more neutral meaning to it. And through that, the meaning of God started being a compassionate figure, a figure that is loving and wants the best for you. Yes, a figure that has some rules for you, for sure, but those rules come from love, not from fear, and it explains to you. It sits with you and it's there for you when you have hard days. So what I wrote here is I started relating the word God to a warm, compassionate figure that wants to guide me back to my wholeness, to my true self. This is again the concept of feeling like a puzzle and getting back together. You can also see it as those Russian dolls, like, you know, when you open them, there's another one, another one, another one, another one, and then eventually you get this really small Russian doll. This is your power. The core of those Russian dolls is your power, your true self. And if you want to know more about true self and the false self, you can check my other video that I discussed with you. Yeah, it was about the grief of rebecoming your true self. So I'm going to link that video also down below. That's going to give you such a clear picture of what is actually going on in your life if you are going through a big life transition and you feel this sadness, this confusion, this disorientation, like you don't know who you are anymore. This is going to help you so much if you're in this phase of your life. So slowly and steadily, I started having a more compassionate relationship with God. He showed me that He's here for me no matter what. He accepts me fully as I am, fully as my true self, not the performance, not the conditioning I picked up from childhood, from society, from anything else. No. God wanted me to be my true self with Him. And that allowed me and gave me permission to be my true self in general too. To be more of my true self in general in all areas of my life. I was also blessed to have mystical experiences at that point in my life. And that brought my relationship to God even closer, even though I didn't know that at that time. The word mind blown doesn't describe what I felt during those experiences. It was made so clear to me what is a soul, what is our souls. I truly believe that was God's way of bringing me back to Him. I wasn't looking for God. I was just looking for healing. I was just looking to get out of depressive and PTSD modes I've been for so many years, even though I had no intention of getting close or even having any sort of relationship with God. He brought me back to Him. This is how loving God is. He cares for us even when we don't see it. It was also like God wanted me to believe again, not just in Him, in miracles, in the magic of the unknown, and believe that anything is possible. And through that, even though, again, I was not looking for any kind of spiritual or mystical experience, I was just open to see what happens, God found me. And then through actively pursuing God, speaking to Him like He's my Father, He started truly healing my wounds, my childhood wounds. He started to take care of my then wounds and needs as a child. And through that, I started seeing myself as a child of God, as we all are. I believe we all are. Even if we don't have a connection to God, we are all children of God. When I started seeing myself like a child of God, I started treating myself with more respect, being more clear with my boundaries, with my truth, being more clear in what creates freedom and joy in my life and peace, and pursuing that. I started having more high self-worth because of God. Which brings me to the point made in the Bible. Like, we are all made in God's image, which for me means we all have inside of ourselves this God component. Even though we are not God ourselves, we all have inside us this magic, something magical and something alive that wants to be expressed and created in this life. And you don't have to be a creative person. And when I say creative, you don't have to be an artist, you don't have to be an author or any of those creative fields. Don't really believe in that. I believe we are all creatives because we do have this God component inside of ourselves. And I'm gonna tell you why we are all creatives. Because you are the creator of your life. You create your life through your daily habits, through your routines, through your behaviors, through your thoughts, through your emotions, through your subconscious beliefs. You create your life through that. And yeah, God is our guidance in creating our lives. He's the co-creator. He gave us life because we wouldn't be here if there was no divine source out there. And of course, He's the ultimate creator, but we also have this God creative component inside of ourselves. So you get to choose and create your life. Don't ever forget that. Especially if you're going through something heavy right now, I want you to remember that. You're the creator of your life. You get to have a say. You create your life. You're not a helpless victim, even if you're going through a heavy and hard time right now. And so often you forget that you're the child of God. So often I used to forget that I was the child of God. I used to treat myself with criticism, with shame, with numbing myself through social media, even through food sometimes. I'm doing a fast right now and I am seeing how dependent I am on food. I thought that I was really dependent on social media, but no, I am more dependent on food. And I think we are all as humans so dependent that we forget that our power doesn't always come from food. That's a whole another conversation too. Don't forget that you are a child of God. Don't ever forget that. And through that, God reminded me that no, you're not gonna criticize yourself at all times. You are deserving inherently, despite of what you want in life. You're just deserving and enough as you are. And then He told me, let us co-create and let me lead you. You are not alone. And this is where my not belonging, my isolation wound just disappeared. Do I still want a community and aligned friends in my life? Yes. But God made this wound soften and dissipate. Even though I still wanted that to happen in my external reality, inside of myself, I wasn't longing for that. I was longing for deeper connection to God. Because when I was with Him, I felt whole, complete, and in togetherness, which is the most beautiful feeling, in my opinion, you can ever feel in your entire life. Feeling that wholeness and togetherness, like, wow, goals. And last point is that God healed my relationship to the masculine. Before I explain a bit more about my relationship to the masculine, I would like to explain what is a masculine and feminine energy, because I think we see that so much, especially in the spiritual communities. So masculine is described as an energy inside of us. You can also say it's an archetype inside of ourselves that is responsible for structures, for guidance, for control, not in a negative way, but it can be also in a negative way. It is steady, it is grounded, it gives us orientation, stability. It provides also boundaries within our lives. And the feminine energy, or like, as I said, archetype or force within ourselves, you can see it as you want. It's deep, it's intuitive, it's connected to her emotions. It is flowing, powerful and soft at the same time. It's expressive and creative and ever-changing. You can also imagine the masculine and the feminine as the lighthouse and the ocean. So the lighthouse is the one that provides structure, that provides orientation, that provides guidance. And the ocean is the feminine, the intuitive, the powerful, the creative. So having said that, I grew up with both the healthy masculine. My dad provided for us. My dad helped us in a lot of physical ways, and my needs were met, and I'm so grateful for that, but not my emotional needs. Those were violated or dismissed. And so when I started creating a relationship to God, He showed me what is a healthy masculine figure. And through that, I completely shifted my relationship to my own masculine inside of myself, firstly, and then to masculines around myself. The other point that I forgot is that masculine and feminine energies, they have nothing to do with your gender. We all have inside of us both masculine and feminine. We couldn't survive any other way in this world. The masculine helps you to have structures, boundaries, and to go about your day, not just be ever flowing and being overpowered by your emotions. So both work as a yin and yang. And this is what happens with couples too. They get to be either in a primary feminine role or a more primary masculine role. We might feel more in our masculine or feminine, but we do need both to function in our day-to-day lives. Fun fact that I read when I was doing my undergrads in psychology, and I was so blown away by this. It said that we come to have both balanced masculine and feminine energies within ourselves as we approach the 30s. But that depends on a lot of other factors too that we can discuss in another video. If you want me to do that, let me know in the comments. So God showed me through His healthy masculine figure, through being His healthy masculine, how I can be in my healthy masculine, how I can have healthy structures and healthy boundaries in my life, and how I can protect myself in this way. And this way, how I can be in my healthy feminine and allow it to be creative and expressive and free and safe in that. Because if we don't have healthy masculine figures, we cannot feel free to express ourselves, be free in our femininity, especially as women. Also, I don't want to say attracting, I stopped being attracted to overly feminine men who are obviously in their wounded feminine, and to wounded feminine men. But yeah, God healed so many things within myself. He literally changed my life. I had to make this video. He called me on this because I got the idea to do this video in February, and I kept resisting and persisting because I was a bit afraid and hesitant. But here I am following God's desire and will for me. I'm really grateful that this happened for me, that God pursued me again and again and again until I paid attention. And let me tell you, it wasn't all magical and like mystical experiences and reparenting. It was a bumpy road, but God was with me. I was not alone, and He's still with me. I am not alone, and I hope you can feel Him too. If you can't feel Him, ask Him to reveal yourself to you. Ask Him to talk to you, to help you heal your wounds. Ask Him and He will show up for you. That is all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm so grateful you took time out of your day to watch this video. I'm sending you so much love. If you're going through a big life transition right now and you need help to stop feeling self-doubt, self-criticism, feel free to join Metamorphosis. This is my psychological coaching program. It will get you from fear, uncertainty to self-trust, self-led action, aligned decision making, self-leadership, so much clarity and freedom, and knowing who you are in this chapter of your life. I will leave the link down below and I will see you in the next one. Bye!